Welcome to the podcast where your next favorite story is already written in the stars.
We're your new book besties, April.
And Tay, here to get your book's cravings started and satisfied.
Why?
Because around here, it's faded.
So grab your current read, maybe a cozy drink, and hide your TBR list because today we're talking about our favorite summer reads and our experience at the City Fling.
Yeah, so exciting. So to start, I am going to talk about 3 books, and then April is going to talk about 3 books. But we're in summertime. We're very much for thematic reading. I'm the same way. A couple episodes ago, I had talked about it was raining and it put me in my feels. And so all my book recs were based on that. And kind of wanted to set that same setting. So everybody's like going on vacations, they're going on the beach, it's hot outside, and what's better than going outside is reading about outside. So
Especially
I
when you
don't
can't go to the beach.
yeah, and especially when it's like 100 degrees outside and it's only June. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna just stay in. It's fine. There's no need for me to see the sun. Who needs it? I can read about it. So we have some good reads for that. My first book is going to be It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Now, this is actually a favorite of mine. It's kind of like a OG read for Tessa Bailey and me like touching my feet in the first time of reading her book. But the summary of this book is Piper Bellinger is a fashionable Los Angeles socialite whose wild reputation gets her in trouble one too many times, and she has to have a wake up call with her stepfather, who sends her to a small fishing town in Washington where her sister are expected to reconnect with their late father's roots. There, Piper clashes with Brendan Taggart, who is a hardworking sea captain who believes that she'll never survive the small town life, and what begins as a mutual frustration slowly develops into an unexpected romance. This is when Piper learns that she may be stronger and more capable than anyone, including herself, ever believed. One of the things I love about it is she goes from this like party hardy socialite to getting everything she's ever wanted to having to work for something. And I just love when a character has full growth throughout the book and she is not the same person that she starts the book as she ends the book with. So really good read. Why I think it's a great beach read is it has a coastal fishing town vibe. It's funny, lighthearted, and has opposites attract because he's very Mr. Hardworking and she's like, my nails are done. I can't do that. Which I'm very
Right.
much the same way. My first day at my new job, they have you go through this orientation process, and I literally had to sling a bag of corn. And I'm like, I will not be doing this. This is not a part of my job duties, whatever. But they were like, no, you're going to know what it's like to work in a DC and how these people pick up their stuffs and everything. And I literally remember I had just put on press ons the night before because this is an office job. So I was like, I have press ons on. And they were like, we still expect you to pick up this bag of corn. So you know what? I feel for her in that moment. I feel for Piper. But anyways, it's a super good read. Very nice and cozy. I love Tessa Bailey. She's one of my favorites.
She's a really good summer read, I feel like. Any of
Yeah,
her
it's
books.
just lighthearted. I don't want a heavy read in the summertime. I probably have read heavy reads, but the mood isn't right. During the fall, when it's colder, I feel those books a lot more because of my environment, what's going on. And I think that truly plays a part. If it's sunny and stuff, I want the same thing. So the grumpy sunshine trope book is perfect for that because it gives me everything I want in a book. And she's kind of grumpy too because she's like has to do all this manual labor and stuff, and she's discovering where her dad's from and all these things. It's just a really good book of character development. Next one is I'm gonna throw us back. I'm gonna throw us back.
Okay.
This is like till your mom's era of reading, not grandma, but mom's era of reading. Nora Roberts is who I'm thinking of. She writes a plethora of, and look at this is her on the back. She's cute as pie. Leave her alone. But this is her on the back of the book. She looks like Martha Stewart's garden. You would never expect her to write a dirty book, but she does a phenomenal job of it. Look at her. She's so innocent.
I love
No,
Nora.
she's not. No, she's not. She's a freak in the sheets. But I love Nora Roberts, and specifically, I love this series. This is the first book in a trilogy. It's called Dance Upon the Air. Nell Channing arrives on Three Sisters Island looking for a fresh start and a chance to escape her painful past. She takes a job at a local bookstore and begins a new life in the islands. It has a close community. She settles in and she discovers that the island is a home to generations of women with connections to magical traditions. As Nell grows closer to the residents, especially Sheriff Zach Todd, which he has 2 first names, by the way. I just have to call that out. Zach Todd. Anyways, the Sheriff Zach Todd, she must decide whether she can truly trust others and embrace life that she's always wanted. The novel is also a romance with mystery and suspense and a little bit of witchcraft, also tied in with healing and self discovery. So, why it makes it a great beach read is it has a coastal island setting, strong female friendships, and that's throughout the trilogy, and the magical elements without it being too deep. So, there's a handful of authors that I can think of that I really like that they dabble in fantasy. They know where to draw the line in the sand. They're like, "I'm not in the world building. I'm not in the, like, total hierarchy of stuff. This is just enough where it feels a little magical and whimsical." It gives me, like, practical magic vibes. So if you love practical magic and the coastal kinda witchy vibe, this is that book. Super good, one of my favorites, 10 out of 10. Have you read this?
I have not, but I have read Nora before. I feel like every
Yeah,
reader has read Nora in some shape or form.
because she has
She's a great
so many books.
author.
So
Yeah,
many
she has so
books.
much and she really has, like, something for everyone. You
Mhm.
may not like this sort of Nora Roberts series, but then you might really love this other series by her, so she's been writing for such a long time that I think that she really does have something for everybody, truly.
She really is a good storyteller, and I think that speaks volumes and the volume of books that she's able to produce and write. This is a book that you're gonna either have to find from, like, half-price books or you're gonna have to buy the book from Amazon. So sorry, y'all, but let me tell you, if you just wanna change it up every now and then and read something that's a little older and not so in the new phase of things, I highly recommend Dance Upon the Air. My final book for my summer reads is going to be an Allie Hazelwood book because I love her and I just met her, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but Dead. Dead died. Problematic summer romance. So this book explores the idea behind the challenges of navigating relationships, timing and circumstance, and when it isn't like ideal or the best time to start a relationship. The book follows two characters who connection feels undeniable, even as outside factors pursuing them and pursuing a relationship makes it seem far from simple. It has a nice vibrant backdrop of the book because her brother is getting married in Sicily. And so it's, coastal in that regard. Maya is a 23-year-old graduate student. She's trying to figure out what her next step is for when she graduates. She's been secretly in love with her brother's best friend for years, Connor Harkness, who's 38 years old. So we have an age
Oh,
gap. She's 23, he's 38, but been in love with this man like her whole life. The story alternates between like past and present timelines. It's kind of fun in that regard because then you get to see a little bit of them in the past, you get to see them in the present at the wedding and how they're reacting to stuff. It kind of reminds me of the Emily Henry book
you
that
meet on vacation.
people, yeah, that one kind of gives that same vibe where they're going back and forth. So I like this one a lot. It's fast paced. It's easy to binge. Why it's a good summer read. Lots of funny banter and dialogue throughout the book, and just has a general summer atmosphere throughout the book. So every time they meet, it's on a summer break because she's in grad school. Even when she was in undergrad, she was very focused. So, like, her only time that she would give herself a break is in the summertime. And that's when she would cross paths with her brother and his best friend. So,
Mm. So maybe if
very
you're
good.
craving, like, something after watching the movie on Netflix of the people we meet on vacation or reading the book, this
Yeah.
definitely sounds like the book to pick up after that for sure.
It would, yeah, and especially too if you've already read the Emily Henry book, you watch that movie and then you're like, "Man, I need that same summer vibe." This one's a really good one. It takes a while for the buildup, so the slow burn in this book is really good. Because
Mm,
time they kinda have this small interaction, you're like, "Oh, I like that get together." And of course, he's a Mister like, "I'm 38 years old, you're
yeah.
23, you have your whole life ahead of you, yada yada." I'm like, "Shut up. You love this woman and she loves you." Like, vibes, but it is, the timing wasn't right, it wasn't meant to be, and then the timing is right.
So sweet. I love those stories like that.
Yeah, very
Okay.
good. Give it to me, girl, give me all
All
3.
right. All right. So my first one is The Sea King by C.L. Wilson. And I just want to say C.L.
Mhm.
Wilson is such a criminally underhyped storyteller. If you like Sarah J. Maas, you're going to love C.L. Wilson. So this is actually the second story in her Weather Mage series. And it has our prince, I think his name is pronounced Dillies. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'm going to pronounce it Dillies. Prince Dillies, he heads to Summerlea to start looking for a powerful princess that he can marry to help him protect his kingdom from the pirates. And this is where we meet Gabriella. She's our female main character, and she's kind of a quiet girl. She's not really outgoing. She's got dangerous, like magical abilities that she's been having to keep under control. When she and her sisters are kidnapped, Dilly's and Gabriella end up having to work together to get her sisters back and also like learn how to use her powers and stop the pirates. And of course, they fall in love along the way. It is such a good beach read. He's literally like a sea king. Like, much more beach than that, I feel like. A powerful female character. I also love there's forced proximity in here for my trope lovers,
Mm.
and it is a really good one. So, highly, highly recommend anything by C.L. Wilson. You will not be disappointed in.
Very nice. And is that kinda like a throwback read? I feel like that's like a throwback read too. So kinda like a probably
Think
what do you think?
so this is not her oldest series. A lot of people would recognize her, yeah, from, like, 2017, it says. A lot of
Yeah.
people would recognize C.L. Wilson from her Terran Soul series. I would call it a romantasy before romantasy was ever a thing. It was written, I think, in, like, the '90s.
Mm.
Such a good series. Highly recommend anything by her, for sure.
I'm gonna add that one to
My
the
next
TBR.
one, my girl, J.R. Ward. Okay, this is a really big book. The Bourbon Kings. It's the first in, I believe, a trilogy. It's about the Bradford family, and they kind of rule Kentucky's bourbon empire from their massive estate that's called Easterly.
Hmm.
And this family is like old money in the sense that their wealth divides them from the people who work for them. It's kind of like, almost like servants is kind of how they view them. And our female main character is their head gardener. Her name is Lizzie King. And it's a second chance romance in the fact that she used to be involved with Tulane Bradford in the past, and they end up breaking up for reasons that are listed out in this book. Very much like a wealth divide reason is why, though. But when Tulane comes back to Easterly with a wife in tow, it causes all this drama and things to occur. Why it's a great beach read is melodrama. Okay. If you like to watch those shows where it's just, I'm watching a train wreck, but I can't look away because the drama is so good, that's this book right here. And it's
Yeah.
got that aspect of mystery in it. It's a second chance romance, and I like to call it a dysfunctional wealthy family. They all have major issues for sure.
Oh, Lord, I'm gonna have to add that one to my TBR because I was actually just telling someone the other day, I was like, I need a billionaire romance. I mean, if they have a Kentucky bourbon empire, there's a good chance there's probably
Yeah,
money behind that. That's interesting. I like the gardener kind of aspect to it, but I don't know about this wife he has suddenly. I'm gonna have to
right.
what?
Melodrama, I'm telling you,
I know.
melodrama.
I already see drama. I'm like, I haven't even read it. I'm like, that's
Right.
drama. That's crazy.
Okay, my last book that I wanna talk about is To Ravish a Rogue by C.M. Nakosta.
So pretty.
It's so pretty. Okay, this cover is gorgeous, and I'm gonna talk about this cover in a second. But
Yeah.
in this book, Charlotte, she is determined to get to Atlantis and reunite with her sister there. So she sneaks on board a pirate ship, and there she meets the captain of the ship. His name is Lyrian, and he's cocky, he's reckless, he's kind of hiding secrets of his own. But he agrees to help her reach home in exchange for a bargain. And I'm not going to talk about what kind of a bargain, but it's a spicy bargain that causes their journey to kind of go in different directions than what you would expect. This book cover, speaking of, because it's beautiful, gives us all the bodice ripper vibes. And
Mm.
when I was reading this book, I opened it up. The very first thing the authors note in this book, she talks about how this book is her love letter to the book Gentle Rogue, which was written by one of my most favorite historical romance authors, Joanna Lindsay. And I was just like, I have to read this book. I have to read it immediately because if it's a love letter to one of the best historical romance authors of all time, in my personal opinion, then it's gotta be great, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's really
Oh.
not that long of a read, so if you're looking for a quick beach read, For Sure is a good one. Has pirates, has hidden identities, it is a monster romance for those who need a heads up on those things, and forced proximity is also a
Ooh.
trope in that book.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I'll be honest, like with our listeners, I have that book. I bought it this weekend when we met CM Nacosta. Yeah. I was like, I need that. I looked at that and it was funny because April's reaction kind of to it was like, I mean, okay, yeah, buy me one too. Yeah, that's the most beautiful book. But also too, I mean, she was talking about it and I was like, yeah, that sounds right up my alley. I want all
Right?
that.
Yeah.
I wanna read her. You've read her book before, so you were like, "Yeah, she's a good author, she's a good writer." So, I've sold. I'm all for buying a pretty book. I'm guilty of it. I don't care. People can say, "Ooh, like, you don't even know what the book's about." I'm like, "I can look at that cover and know what it's about, and I know I'm gonna
Right.
like it."
Exactly. Cover buys
So
are a thing.
sold. Sold on that
Yes.
book. Those are fabulous beach reads. I love those. So we kinda gave 2 divides, and this was at me and April, we totally went on our own mission to collect our beach reads without seeing the other person's. So, it was kinda nice that I did have the one that kinda touched on some fantasy, but you really kinda took the fantasy aspect of beach. So, we gave our listeners 2 different types. If you like to do a little more of contemporary style romance, very straightforward, and then we also have our fantasy. Me and April love both. We toe the line
Mhm.
on everything. I don't think there's much that we won't touch. Case in point, our next one we will talk about for next week for our listeners. When you finish this episode, you will hear what we plan on reading next week. We'll read anything as long as it's good storytelling. I think we're big on like alternating readings. I can't read the same one style book forever. I have to put like an in between. I just finished 2 fantasies and now I'm like, okay, we got to put a break in between there. That's why I was asking about the billionaire. I gotta have like, just a standard billionaire man book, just basic, because I just had 2 major books of world building, all the things. It was really good, but, like, very heavy on details, very heavy on that. I need easy. I might partake in Ravish the Rogue, honestly. Speaking of CM Costa, because we just went to City Fling, and me and April have some thoughts. Me and her both had 2 different sides of City Fling. I was attending it. I did a one-day ticket. I will preface that as well, y'all. I did not have the full thing, and I'm kinda like I when there's new book events that come out, I toe the line of wanting to see what it's like first before I commit to buying a whole package. A Saturday ticket gets me to see it, see how I feel about it, and then see if this is something in the future that I wanna, like, drop 300 plus dollars on. But I have to know kinda the vibes first before I'm willing to commit that much money. I go to the one-day things that Southern Belle Book Events host, and it's like a $100 ticket, but I know what I'm getting, and if they ever hosted a multiple day event, you best believe I am signing up because 'cause they're the top tier when it comes to those things. But for this one, I bought a Saturday. April did volunteer, so April was there actually a few days before me and helping out with what they needed there and kinda getting them set up and running. So, we will have 2 different views on things. So I want to preface that to our listeners as well. We're going straight to facts of what it was and what we had experienced. For me, they had a system at this event. So I've been to a lot of the events where they do the wristbands. At this event, it was a digital like QR code that you scan and then you get in this thing called wait while. And there was a lot of technical difficulties faced. The system was taking a while to load, and there were a lot of people stressed in lines around me. A lot of just like discord in that regard of just, kind of panicking about getting see the authors they wanted. And two, because we live in the age of technology. April was telling me her record of what happened the day previous because they had a day before signing that they did where it was like 300 people
Mhm.
and, I had kinda heard that not every author got through their entire wait list. So I already came a little disappointed just based on that because I was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna get to see the authors I want based on that." And then when the system started crashing and things aren't loading and the signal and service like, my phone went into SOS mode a couple of times. I'm just looking at the girls next to me like, "I just don't know." I really, really, really wanted to meet Allie Hazelwood. I was like, "If all else fails, meeting her is just top tier for me, and I could literally not get to meet anybody else, but I really wanted to meet her. So, spoiler alert, I did. Heck yeah, I did. Woo! She was perfect. I got in the line and I was like 242. The day prior, I think she only got up to like 140 something, but I ended up in the line. So that was kind of like my first take.
Yeah, yeah. So it was my first time
Mhm.
volunteering for anything. It was my first time kind of being on that side of things instead of being an attendee. And all of my experience is just based on my knowledge from this one
Yeah.
event. I don't know what's the norm, what's not the norm. I just know my experience. There were some hiccups along the way, just like little things. Our scheduling got out a little bit late. And I understand I was not somebody who was like really, truly upset about that because
Mm.
I just knew I had to be there between these dates, but some people were a little stressed on the volunteer side just because they had to buy flights and things like that, and they're like, "I just need to know what time I'm supposed to be there." I think we didn't end up getting our volunteer schedule out until literally, like, a week before the event, which was a little chaotic, I'm sure, for those who were traveling further than
Mhm.
I was. But, yeah, I got there and had to get checked in. There was some delay with getting our swag bags. So as a volunteer, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if this is normal for all events. It kind of sounds like it is
Mhm.
based on the conversations that I was able to have with other volunteers. There was delay with getting our swag bags. We weren't able to get them until the end of our shifts or sometimes even like the next day. for some of the special events, which ended up kinda being kinda stinky, I feel like, for some, because if you went to, for example, Holly Renee had an event there, and if you went to that event as a volunteer, you weren't working it, you're able to attend the event, which is awesome. I really did like that they did that
Mhm.
for us. There was, like, a special embosser company there, and they were embossing these special tickets. Well, volunteers, even if they attended, because we weren't allowed to get our swag bags until the next day, they weren't able to participate in that, and so I kinda hated that for volunteers
Mhm.
who were maybe really looking forward to something like that. I did not attend the event. I had my family with me, and we were doing other things, but I could see where that would be a bit of a
Mhm.
bummer. But I worked the signing room both days. It was a Friday and Saturday signing, and I just have to say, I have so much respect for people who volunteer at book conventions. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think people know this. I myself didn't really know this. You still pay for your hotel. You still pay for your food. You pay for, all of your expenses. You pay for your parking. Like the events that you're volunteering at, they don't provide you with anything like that. You pay what the attendees pay. And so these people are truly spending just as much money as you are on this event, but they're working it. It really
Yeah.
just kind of opened my eyes to that side of thing, and I
Mhm.
had just so much respect for those people, and the leads who are running the signing floor are phenomenal people. They do a polycon a lot, they were fabulous, and I have nothing but nice things to say about the other volunteers and the leads. They truly, truly made this event what it ended up being for a lot of people. A
Mhm.
lot of people had a really great experience because of the volunteers, and so, like, shout out to them for the hard work that they put in for sure.
And I
Mm,
do think that was elective decisions too that the volunteers just kind of made on their part. I can't speak for every volunteer, and nor do I know which ones helped me. So if somebody's listening and they're like, how could they? Like, it's past now. It all worked out. Shh. I had some volunteers where they're like, because so with the Wait While app, and this was something April was showing me, is the volunteers quite literally themselves are expected to press the bell icon to get people to come up for their line time. So with the wristbands that I've had in the past is usually there's TVs, you check your number, you look, you're like, okay, they're on 1 through 100 and I'm 600. I'm not anywhere close. That's what I'm used to. So this app is kind of similar in that regard because it'll do a 1 through 10, but the volunteers themselves have to go through and click the bell icon for all of these attendees. And I would go up to certain lines and there would be a volunteer there and I'd say, "Hey, what number are you on?" For a lot of mine I was like, I think my most highest one was, 242, and so for my other ones, I think my lowest number was 40. And of course, I'm killing time at all the other ones that aren't ticketed authors. I'm able to go up and wait in line with them and everything. I went up to Holly Renee. She was my first one, and I was like, "Hey, I'm number 40. I don't know what number you're on." She goes, "Well, I've already clicked 1 through 15, and there's no one in line here, so I would say go ahead and get in line." So I was able to jump in, and a lot of the volunteers were doing that throughout the day. They're like, "What number are you?" Because they were calling the bells and nobody was showing up to keep the line flow going, it was better to keep the traffic flow because
mhm.
otherwise if you wait until that number comes and like no one ever shows or doesn't come at their proper time, then wasting time of the author for them to just sit there and not have anybody really come up. So it was really good on the volunteers part to kind of mitigate the line in that regard.
Yeah, and I was running, CM Nascasta's line,
Mhm.
and I have nothing but love and respect for this woman. First of all, I have to tell you, it was a 2-day signing, 4 hours each, and did not take, like, a single break, no water breaks, like, even some other authors were taking some breaks, and I was like, "Wow, I don't know how you're doing this because I am dying here." I'm gonna say allegedly, wait while was not wink, 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 was not working, especially for that line in particular because I guess Wait While only allows you to add so many authors as ticketed, and I don't know really what
Mhm.
happened when they tried to add her on, it just wasn't really working, and I couldn't get it to load on my phone, which is obviously stressful because an author is ticketed for a reason because they're really popular. As somebody who's attended book conventions before and as somebody who's volunteering at one, like, I want every single person to meet this author. This author wants to meet every single person who wants to meet her. And so I kinda just did the same thing. I was like, "Hey, guys, I'm sorry." When they would come up, "My wait while is not working." We were in the middle of the room, and unfortunately, I do know that, the Wi-Fi was spotty for a
Yeah.
lot of people, service was spotty for a lot of people, and so I'd just be like, "Get in line or take a quick lap around and we'll get you in." I feel like it's a finished product, but I definitely feel like with any technology, any app, there's always kinks and things that have to kind of work out.
Mhm.
And it was different for me as my first time volunteering, just having to kind of troubleshoot that on my own.
Yeah.
but it ended up working out great,
Yeah.
and the people who attended were so nice. I had so many attendees come up to me and say, "Thank you for volunteering," and it was just so nice because 'cause I've heard from other
Mhm.
volunteers that it's not always a nice crowd at book conventions, so I really
Mhm.
appreciated that everybody was so kind and understanding on that side of things. I know that there was definitely frustration and worry, especially about Allie Hazelwood. I can't imagine what it would have been like to work her line because she had crazy numbers of people who wanted to see her. But it ended up being a really great experience for me on that and very eye opening and just kind of like the fine tuning of things that kind of go on. I will say it was a lot of work. Like volunteering is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, which is kind of
Mhm.
funny. Like, why did I think it was going to be easy? I don't know. It's a lot of time on your feet. I was on my feet the
Mhm.
entire time in the signing room. And luckily, this venue had carpeted floors. I can't imagine what my feet would have felt like had it been
Yeah.
cement like it usually is at these
Yeah.
venues, but it was very hard. Volunteers could not join ticketed authors' lines. We had to wait until the lines kind of opened up, and that caused a
Mhm.
lot of stress for people who wanted to see, Allie Hazelwood, who wanted to see Victoria Wilder, who is there.
Yeah.
And my one goal was to get to see Amber V. Nicole, and I
Mm.
did. I got to,
Yes.
which was really nice. I got to see her and meet her towards the end when I was able to go. I've heard of other conventions doing it differently. We were not allowed to go and get in lines until almost the very end of the event, but I've heard at other conventions that volunteers have been allowed in early to go and get their things signed and that it's just run differently. This is only my experience at this
Yeah.
one convention. I don't know what's normal. I don't know what's not normal. But definitely, I would say if you're wanting to get the full experience at an event,
Mm.
buy a ticket. Try to get a resale ticket because as a volunteer, you definitely miss out on a lot of things. Like, yes,
Mhm.
it's nice. We did get the swag bags eventually. We got all the things that the people with the full tickets got. I did get to meet authors that I wanted to meet, but I did not get to meet every single author that I intended to meet. I showed up with just essentially, I showed up with my Amber V. Nicole books,
I
and
think
that's
it was good
all.
though in that regard because you set not that I'm saying set your expectations low, but
Yeah.
set them at a reasonable level because you are a volunteer. And I would even understand that I am not an attendee. It's probably not going to be the exact same for that. So I wouldn't come with a cartload of books. You set your expectation kind of minimum. And that's kind of where I set mine. I could literally meet no one else if I just meet Allie. And me and you actually got to kind of meet her together because April was doing her potty break and looking for me. And she's like, "Where's she at? Where's she at?" And literally, I was one person away from Allie. I look at her and she's like, "Are you living your dream?" And I'm like, "I am. I'm so excited. I just cannot wait." And she was so kind. The picture I have of us, she's holding so I also, anybody that attended this event, I gave out ribbons that had our podcast on it. I actually had one on my bookshelf if you're watching the pod, but I handed them out to people and I gave April stack. And so she was handing them out as well. I gave them to all the authors. This was my pitch. If you like friends who are weird, if you like friends who are weird and read books together and talk about it, then this podcast is for you. They were all like, sold. I like that. When I got to Allie, I gave her one of ours and I was telling her, for her books, for me, one really promotes women in STEM and all of those things. But I love that she showed that it's never too late to find your passion. And for me, I didn't necessarily know my direction of where I was going to go in my journey. Never would I have thought I'd be here with one of my closest friends and doing a podcast about romance novels. Never would I have thought I would be going to grad school in my 30s. And so all of these things have kind of accumulated later. I'm so grateful that I did and where my journey is now. Her writing and everything means to me. I mean, she had a whole other career. I don't remember what her career was. She was some type of scientist role. I could be dead wrong about that, but she definitely led in the world of STEM as well. Then she totally took a 180 and decided to become a romance author. And then she's like, actually, this is my true passion. I write so well about people in STEM being in love. I'm going to do that forever now. And her personality is just as fun and quirky and wonderful. And yeah, that was my unicorn out in the woods. She is everything for me as an author. It was such a hard decision because she had a book limit, which thank goodness some authors do because I don't know how these authors can write 12 books per person and just be fine. And she did have to do a book limit. I have like 8 books from her, all different. And so I had to pick my 5 favorite ones to get signed. She signed everything I wanted to sign. She does little doodles on this one, so she put like a little sun, and signed her name. I
Oh,
love it so much, but she was wonderful. That was definitely the highlight of my whole day was getting to meet her. I got to see actually everybody I wanted to see. I made 3 rounds, I think. going around just to verify I had seen everybody. I finally looked at April and I was like, I'm tapping out. I don't have anybody else to see. I saw everybody. It was only 2 o'clock. So from 11 to 2 o'clock, I got to see everybody I wanted, and the signing room closed at 3. So that was incredible that like we got that close to the time. I got to see everybody and have some space. I can't speak for the experience of other people, so I don't know. As far as what April has told me, the crowds dwindled down like
Yeah,
big time. The
yeah.
rooms were getting empty by the time the stuff was closing, and they allowed the volunteers to start circling through so they could see their authors and kind of make their laps. And you got to see Holly Renee,
I did,
right?
I did. I
During
got to
that
see
time.
Holly Renee, I got to see
Ugh.
Zoe Draven, so I was excited. And I have to say, speaking of the authors, I was talking with a volunteer.
Mhm.
It was actually one of the volunteers who was running Allie Hazelwood's line, and she was talking about how people felt kind of frustrated on Friday when
Mhm.
Allie didn't get through, as many people as they kind of expected her to. She was like, "I don't think people realize, like, how nice she is.
Mhm.
She is making connections with these
Mhm.
readers. Every single reader that comes up to her,
Yeah.
she's having a conversation with them. She is not just signing, okay, good to see you, bye. She's trying to make an actual connection with her readers. I have so much respect for that. And there were so many authors that I met that were like that, and so many authors who just genuinely were being such kind individuals. They were asking me as a volunteer, "Are you having fun?" CM was like,
Yeah.
"Are you having a good time? I just really want to make sure that the volunteers are having a good time." And I just think that that's such a nice thing for them to care about just us, and I don't know, I was just super impressed with the authors. They were all 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I did Scarlett St. Clair, and she was also super gracious. I met her a couple of times. Long story too with that is April met her. This was the start of me and April's friendship. I can't remember if you were still working for me or you weren't at that point. I don't
Yeah.
remember what the timeline was, but you went and you were like, I will take a photo with her because I told her how much I liked Scarlett St. Clair. I was like, oh my gosh, I love her books. And she was like, oh, she's going to be there. I'll meet her. And you took a picture with her. And I was like, gobsmacked. First of all, this human being on earth did me a favor by sending me a photo with one of my favorite authors. I love her. I'm not even in the picture. It was like I won $1,000,000. I'm making this girl my friend. I am
Thank you,
trapping
Scarlett.
her. Yeah. So I literally, when I got to meet her the year later, and I'm big and pregnant, mind you, and that was even emotional. I'm like, my friend got to meet you last year. I took a photo with you and it was so great and everything and blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, she's so sweet. She's like, oh, honey, nice to meet you, blah, blah. Oh, so this time around, I got to see her again. I told her the last time I saw you, I think was at Book Bonanza. And she was like, which one? And I was like, "The most recent one." She goes, "With all the drama?" And I was like, "Yes, with that ends with us drama." She's like, "Oh my gosh." She goes, "So crazy, right?" And I was like, "So crazy." And she was like, "I don't even know." She's like, "It feels like a fever dream." I was like, "Yeah." Because I experienced too, just crazy. And I told her though, she really gives a great glimpse into her writing, and you kind of were showing me some of her videos, and it filled my heart because one, I'm trying to write a book and there's just so many external things that like, happen with life where it's like I didn't get to write here, or there was a period of time where I wrote in a month majority of the book, and then there's a part where I go back and I edit a page, I do a paragraph, I do whatever. Scarlett shows all of that in her life and in her writing, and it's so great because it also makes me feel seen. I'm thinking all these people spend all day and all night writing, and she's like, no, it's not like that. It's like, oh, I write a paragraph this day, but then I could write 100 pages in one day if I get a really good idea for something and I just can't stop the flow. But then other days it's just one sentence. I just build one sentence and make it grammatically correct. It's beautiful, great, and like, that's all I can do. And she was just like, "Oh my gosh, well, when you do ever get that book, you can always email me." And I die, I die. I would not expect you to take time out of your day to read my thing, but thank you. I
Right,
did.
I'm honored.
I was like, I was honored, but then I was like, I do have a podcast, so if you wanna follow this podcast,
What's
listen to
that?
those 2 weird friends or get
Right,
on here and answer some of our questions, you are more than welcome. But
right?
she was one of those ones I had a full-on conversation with. It was great, and she did not take the time away, and honestly too, though, from other people behind me, no one seemed annoyed. Everybody seemed, "Oh, like, thank goodness we're gonna have a genuine conversation with this human being and
Mhm.
not be the fast food service of book signing of sign by. Every author I met really wanted to have that small connection in some way. I hope all the notes that they take out of this, they kind of take and tweak. If there is an option for a venue to have a purchase of overall for Wi-Fi for the guests,
Mhm.
like we have an access code for our event, and then that way we can kind of clear the issues that we kind of ran into a little bit with like the service and the SOS. I know specific providers were having issues, so could have totally just been circumstance and things, but I hope definitely they kinda take some of the feedback from that and kinda adjust for the next one. I think the next one's in
Denver.
Denver, that's right.
Yes, which I, at this moment, do not plan to attend or volunteer for. It's just a little far, but we'll
Yeah.
see. You never know. Never say never. I
Yeah,
just feel like,
I
though, we are in such a great state that
mhm.
has so many signings that we are so lucky that comes to our state that we're able to attend. Where I'm like, we've already got a really full list for
Yes,
2027, I feel like.
we do. Me and April have a Florida trip. We
We
are going
do.
to Blitzed Up in Panama City, Florida in May of next year, and we are stoked. It's gonna be
So,
great. So far, the author lineup is like stacked. So
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this one. We actually won tickets through the Ghibli. So shout out to Ghibli. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. We are so stoked to attend this. We bullied her sister, April's sister, not Ghibli's
Yes.
sister, April's sister. Atron and to join us. What? So, yay for bullying older sisters into buying their tickets. So we are doing one out of state next year, but that's probably our limit is maybe one. I think every other year is an out of state, but I'm probably going to be sticking with Texas most of the time just because anything that's drivable. I really want to try Wanderlust. That
Yeah.
one has been in San Antonio pretty consistently. I saw actually the owner of Wanderlust was actually at the signing. She was like two people behind me. And
Mhm.
shout out to her. I can't remember her name. I want to say it's Jenny, but she was a couple people behind me and she was talking about her event and everything. Me and April have been eyeing it for a while. It's been growing steadily and there's a really decent like author lineup. And I'm like, dang, I need tickets to that. I need tickets to that now. So that's gonna be on my radar. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on Wanderlust. I really want to do that one.
All right, besties, that's it for today's episode.
Make sure to follow, download, and share our podcast socials with your other book besties. We would love to hear your favorite beach reads. Please leave a comment on your favorite platform letting us know.
And join us next week where we read sentient object books and off the wall monster romances.
And remember,
We're glad you're here because
it's faded.